Welcome to Minimal's Crafts. Today we're going to learn how to crochet this beautiful bag here. Okay, so for this bag you're going to need yarn or wool or t-shirt yarn or macrame. For me, I used macrame, this one. It's a bit thick, about 3 millimeters thick, so you can use whatever kind of yarn that you have, but that is thick. Also, you're going to need 2 colors of your choice, and then you're also going to need a crochet hook. I used 5 millimeters size crochet hook. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so we're going to begin with magic circle, and this is how we do the magic circle. Okay, and make sure that the stitches that we're going to be doing in the circle are a bit close. Okay, so we're going to put 6 single crochets, and this is the first, this is number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now we pull this at the end to close this gap here. Okay, pull it. Okay, so moving on to round number 2, we're going to be putting 2 single crochets in each stitch. Okay, so that at the end of this row we have 12 stitches. Okay, so this is going to be our first, and we're going to also put a stitch marker in the first. This is number 1. Okay, so that's the first stitch, and that's the second in that stitch. Okay, then into the next we put again 2 single crochets. That's 1, that's 2. Okay, again in the next, that's 1, and that's 2. Up until the end of the round. Okay, now we are almost at the end, and if we were to count our stitches, they are supposed to be 12. Okay, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Now moving on to round 3, we're going to be alternating between 2 single crochets and 1 single crochet. Okay, so for this one we're going to put 2 single crochets in this stitch. Don't forget to put your stitch marker. We're going to put 2 single crochets in this stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, 2 single crochets in the following, 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet in the next, 2 single crochets in the following, okay, 1 single crochet in the next, up until the end of this round, so that we have 18 stitches at the end of this round. So what we're doing is we're increasing 6 stitches at each row. Okay, now we're at the end of this third row, and if you are to count the stitches, they'll give you 18. Okay, now moving on to the next row, which is the fourth, the next round. We're going to be now going to begin with a single crochet in this one single crochet in the first stitch, and then we put our stitch marker, one single crochet, and then again in the next stitch you put another single crochet, and then we'll put 2 single crochets in the following. Okay, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in the third. In this one we put 2. Okay, again 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, sorry, and then 2 single crochets in the third stitch. In this one we put 2 single crochets. Okay, we alternate again, 1 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet in the following, and then 2 single crochets in the third here. Okay, so that at the end we have 24 stitches. Okay, 1 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet in this one, 2 in this one. Okay, 1 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet in this one, 2 single crochets in this last stitch. Okay, if you are to count your stitches, they should be 24. Okay, now moving on to the next row. I'm going to begin with 2 single crochets in the stitch. Okay, I'm going to put 2 single crochets in this stitch. Okay, don't forget to put your stitch marker. Now we're going to put 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. Okay, 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. Okay, like that, and then 2 single crochets in this stitch. Okay, so we're going to be alternating 3 single crochets in 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the fourth. So in the next one here, we're going to put 2 single crochets. Okay, we alternate again, 1 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet in this one, 1 single crochet in this one, so that they have 3 stitches with 3 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in this one. Okay, so let's alternate up until the end here, 3 single crochets in 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the fourth one. We alternate up until the end here. I'm done with this row. Now moving on to the next row. I'm going to remove my stitch marker here. For this row, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first. Okay, I'm going to put another single crochet in the next. I'm going to put another single crochet in the next. We now have 3. Another single crochet. We now have 4. And then in the 5th, we put two single crochets. Okay, again, single crochet in the first, single crochet in the second, single crochet in the third, single crochet in the fourth, and then in the 5th we put 2 single crochets. Okay, so we'll be alternating. In the next 4 stitches you put single crochets, and then in the 5th stitch you put 2 single crochets. Okay, four single crochets in 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the 5th. Let's alternate that up until we're back here at the beginning. So we're done with this row. Moving on to the next one, we're going to begin with 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, and then we put 2 single crochets in the 3rd stitch. In this one we're going to put 2 single crochets. Okay, and from now on we're going to be putting 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches. That's number 2, that's number 3, that's number 4, that's number 5, and then we'll put 2 single crochets in the 6th. Okay, this one we'll put 2. Okay, again 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the 6th. This is 3, this is 4, and this is 5, and then 2 in this one. Okay, so we're going to be alternating 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the 6th. Okay, 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches, 2 single crochets in the 6th, up until the end of the round. Okay, so we've just finished this row. Moving on to the next row. Okay, we're going to begin with 2 single crochets in this first stitch. Okay, followed by 6 single crochets in the next 6 stitches. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, and then in the 7th we put 2 single crochets. Okay, like that. Again, 6 single crochets in the next 6 stitches. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in the 7th we put 2 single crochets. Okay, So continue alternating 6 single crochets in the next 6 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the 7th stitch. Okay, 6 single crochets in the next 6 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the 7th, up until the end of the row. Welcome back. So now the base of our bag is done. From now on, we're no longer going to be increasing the number of stitches, okay, but we're going to maintain putting on the stitch marker. Okay, if you were to count your stitches, they should be 48. Okay, so now moving on, we're just going to crochet single crochet. We're just going to single crochet in each stitch up until the end of the row. Okay, just going to single crochet in every stitch up until the end of this row. Okay, so I'm just going to continue single crochet, putting a single crochet in each and every stitch up until the end of this row. Welcome back. So I finished this row, and as you can see, my work is starting to bend inwards. Okay, this is going to be the inwards of our bag. So I'm going to continue with single crochet for the next 9 rows. Okay, just going to keep on putting single crochets in each stitch for the next 9 rows. Also remembering to put your stitch marker at the beginning of each round. Okay, so for the next 9 rounds, we're going to be putting single crochets in each stitch, and then remembering to put our stitch marker. Okay, let's come back after the 9 rounds. Welcome back. So now I've crocheted the 9 rows that we talked about earlier on. So now from here, we're going to change the color of the yarn that we're using, and I'm going to be using white. Okay, so this is how we change. Okay, I remove my stitch marker, then I insert. Okay, so then from here, then take the new color that I'm going to be using. Okay, and then I put back my stitch marker. Okay, so from here onwards, we're going to be using white. Now we're going to just do 4 more rows and then come back. We're going to do 4 more rows of white and then come back. Okay, so let's just do the 4 rows and then come back. Okay, welcome back. So now I've just finished the 4 rows of the white color. What we're going to do next is you're going to count 24 stitches from the beginning here up until to the 24th stitch, and then put a stitch marker in the 24th stitch like this. Okay, now from here you count one stitch from this one, and then the next one, put a stitch marker. Okay, like this. Again, from this side you count 1 and then put a stitch marker from this side. Okay, now also from here count 3 stitches, and then in the 4th one put another stitch marker. 1 2 3 4. Let's put a stitch marker in there. Okay, and then do likewise the other side. 1 2 3, and then in the fourth put a stitch marker like that. Okay, so that we have 5 stitch markers. However, we're going to remove this one in the middle, the one that we put first, that was marking the 24th stitch. We're going to remove it, okay, so that we remain with 4. So on the other side here, we're going to do likewise. Okay, this last stitch here that we did, okay, is our 24th on this side, so we're going to put a stitch marker in that one. Okay, then from this one we count 1 and then put another one in there. From this one we count 3 and then put in the fourth one. 1 2 3 4. In this one we put a stitch marker. Okay, and then this side again we do the same. We're going to remain with the stitch marker. We want it as it marks the beginning of our row. Okay, so we count 1 and then put a stitch marker in this one. Again we count 3 and then put in the fourth one. That's 1 2 3 4. Okay, so that again we have 5 yellow stitch markers, and we're going to remove this one here in the middle. Okay, so that we remain with 4. So the purpose of these stitch markers is that we want to leave gaps in which we are going to put our handles. So now moving on to the next row, wherever there's a stitch marker, we're going to skip that stitch and chain 1. Okay, let me show you. So I'm going to remove this one here and continue with my single crochet. Okay, then I put it back. Okay, now there's a stitch marker here, so I'm going to chain 1. Okay, and then skip this one which has got the stitch marker here. Actually, I'm going to remove it, and then into the next one I put a single crochet so that we have a small hole like this one. So wherever there's a stitch marker, I'm going to chain 1 and then skip that stitch. Okay, again here we have a stitch marker, I'm going to chain 1 and then skip the stitch, and then into the next a single crochet. Okay, so that I create these small holes here. Okay, so I'm going to continue, and wherever there's a stitch marker, I'm going to skip the stitch and chain 1 up until I come back here. Okay, so I've just finished putting these small holes. Now for our last round, we're just going to put single crochet in each stitch and then finish off. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with single crochet in each and every stitch and then finish off. So we're just going to do one more round and then we'll do the handle. So let's just do single crochet right round and then meet back here. So we're now back at the starting point. We're just going to remove this stitch marker here, and then we're going to join the last and the first with a slip stitch like this. Okay, cut this end. Okay, so we're going to fasten this one, this other end here inside. Okay, now we're going to make the handle for the bag. So for the handle, we're going to chain 135. Okay, we're going to crochet a chain of 135. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to continue up until I have a chain of 135. Okay, so now I have the chain of 135. So I'm going to slip stitch into every stitch. Okay, and I'm going to skip this one and then begin in this one. So this is how we do the slip stitch into every stitch. Okay, like that, into every stitch. So okay, so I'm going to slip stitch into every stitch up until the end of the squad. Okay, so I'm just going to continue and then come back. Welcome back. So we've just finished with our cord, this one. Okay, so we now want to insert this cord onto our bag. So if you remember well, this is our finishing point and it's in between these two holes. Okay, and then there are also other two holes. So if you hold your bag like this, you'll find that we have two holes this side and then two holes this side, and then likewise two holes this side and two holes this side. So here you take your cord and then insert it through here. Like that. And then bring it out through the next hole. Okay. And then so you should have 4 this side and then 4 other holes this other side. Okay, so now we'll move on to this other side. So insert again. And bring it out here. Okay. And insert again. And then bring it out on this one. The last one. Okay, so it should be like this. Okay, so I'm just going to join these other 2 ends here. Make sure that you straighten your cord so that good. Okay, so just find somewhere to insert your cord so that you join the two. Okay, so I've just joined using single crochet. Just going to find some way to fasten this one off. Okay, so this is our join. I'm just going to fasten this one. Side these other stitches. So this is our back and it's now complete. Okay, we'll fasten off those strings later on, and if you want you can use two handles or you can just choose one. So just pull this one so that it becomes a crossbody bag like this. Okay, thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more.